Hello everyone. This is the last video from chapter 1. In this video, I'll be talking about changing dynamics of specialness. At any moment in time, each financial institution supplies a set of financial services, for example, brokerage related, asset transformation related, or both. And this set of services is subject to a given net regulatory burden. As the demands for the special features of financial services change due to changing preferences, macroeconomic conditions, and technology, one or more areas of the financial services industry becomes more or less profitable. Similarly, changing regulations can increase or decrease the net regulatory burden faced in supplying financial services in any given area. These demand, cost, and regulatory pressures are reflected in changing market share in different financial service areas. If we look at the trends of the balance sheet of financial institutions in Australia as well as in the United States, we find several trends, or we find several changing patterns. Most apparent is the decline in the total share of banks from the 1950s to the 2000s. There is also a fairly dramatic upward trend in the shares of managed funds, and there is also an increase in investment companies. These changes were particularly attributable to the change in regulatory burden imposes on the financial institutions. During the 1990s and into the 2000s, there was a further shift in the global banking model from originate and hold to originate and distribute. In the traditional banking model, depository institutions take short-term deposits and other sources of fund and use them to fund longer-term loans to businesses and consumers. Depository institutions typically hold these loans to maturity and thus have an incentive to screen and monitor borrower activities even after a loan is made. However, the traditional model exposes the institutions to potential liquidity, interest rate, and credit risk. In an attempt to avoid this risk exposure and to generate improved return risk trade-off, depository institutions globally have tended to shift their business towards more of an underwriting model in which they originate and warehouse loans and then quickly sell them. This trend was originally most prevalent in the United States, but was also common in other countries. The originate and distribute model shifts risk from the balance sheet of financial institutions to other parts of the financial system. Since the financial institutions under the new model were acting as underwriters and thus were not exposed to credit, liquidity, and interest rate risk of traditional banking, they had less incentive to screen and monitor the activities of borrowers to whom they originated loans. That's all of our discussion from chapter 1. Thank you very much, and see the next videos for discussions on chapter 7. Thank you very much.